There were tons of people that went to sleep last night hoping and praying and wishing that today they're going to sell something. Sometimes you're going to face rejection. Sometimes you're going to face adversity. But really, I feel like that is put there to weed out and filter out the people that ain't serious about it. Hey, what's up? This is Brad with Be Real. Hey, I'm going to talk to you guys about something today, share with you guys. It's going to be on sales. So all my sales friends out there, all my people that I've worked with together in sales, it's going to be about sales. But I'm telling you, I've always said this too, that sales is, it kind of gets a stigma. Oh, you're a salesperson. But really, it is communicating ideas and getting people to follow you, or getting people to buy into your thoughts and your ideas. That's what sales is too. And so I say this all the time. Some of the best parents are the best salespeople. You want to know why? Because one, people follow them. And two, they're able to communicate their ideas in a way that people buy into those ideas, which would be their kids, their families, family members, whatever. So sales is just not a sales deal where you're out selling, animate objects. But sales is everything. Sales is if you're a leader. Sales is if, you're a pastor. Sales, dentist, doctor. Anyway, so I'm going to come at this from a little bit of different way here. But in my opinion, there's kind of a persuasion selling, which is not necessarily good. And there's a convincing, which is convincing somebody to buy something that they actually need or needed. And persuasion, I tell people all the time, the difference between you feeling like I'm manipulating you or I'm trying to help you is the intent of my heart. And so persuasion is kind of a little bit what the slimy part of the sales deal is, where you're just trying to make a profit off of that. And convincing is where you're actually out there trying to convince somebody to buy something that they actually need. Here's why. Because we've all gone into places, and as soon as you walk in that place, like it could even be a waiter or a waitress at a restaurant, where you go, hey, tell me something good on the menu. And immediately they go, surf and turf. Well, hell, that's the most expensive thing on the menu. They're not trying to share with you something to make sure that you have a great experience. And other places you'll go in and go, hey, dude, tell me what's something good on the menu. And they'll go, let me tell you something. When I eat lunch here, this is what I eat every time. You see what I'm saying? And you feel that, which is why this is so important to listen to me on this and implement this into your selling career or as a leader, is that you've gone into situations where that those people are just in a persuasive deal. You go into a place and go, all right, I'm looking for a black SUV. And the first thing they take you to is a white car. Dang well, because they're just trying to sell the white car because they can make more money off that particular car or whatever. For convincing type sales is, I'm telling you, when I was on fire selling and was doing my absolute best, I'm telling you, and people say, oh, it's easy for you to do because you had money. No, I'm saying in the beginning, when I began sales, when I got the mentality, you know what, I don't care what the computer says. I don't care how much money I make today. All I'm going to do is walk out of this sales meeting room and I'm just going to go help people. And if you have a tendency of doing that and you do that with the correct mindset, money follows, money comes. In fact, I will tell you that a lot of times short-term people that are kind of intimidating, persuasive type salespeople, they have a tendency of going like this and then straight back down. But I'm talking about long-term selling career, a convincing salesperson that really truthfully is in it. The whole purpose they're in it is to help people make good decisions. And I'll tell you why that's so important later. Helping people to make good decisions, helping people to make great buying decisions, helping them, putting a square peg in a square hole for the customers. And but let me tell you something though. You still need some of the things we've talked about before, which is energy, effort, enthusiasm. You have to have tenacity. All those things are still in sales. Energy, effort, enthusiasm. Energy, effort, enthusiasm. Normally what people try to do if they get into a selling slump is immediately go into, more of a hardcore type selling. I'm telling you, that's the wrong thing. The right thing to do is be more enthusiastic. come across with more energy. And it's the same time, be tenacious, because, I've read more than one time, a deal doesn't even close until the fourth time you ask. So if you only ask one time for the sale, then they're probably going to walk. And then the next person only has to ask three times and they're going to get the sale. So, and you can do that in a way that does not come off abrasive or does not come off is intimidating or annoying. People feel intent, tone, energy. So one thing too that I felt like when I was on a roll in sales was true, and I mean this, true empathy. Like if you've been into anywhere and talked to somebody about something, a past experience when you were buying it, they're like, oh man, yeah, tell me more about that. Tell me more about what happens. Tell me about what you previously bought in this situation. Tell me what you liked about that. Tell me what you didn't like about that. If it's a vehicle, tell me about what, you say you've driven this car for 10 years. Tell me what you liked about that car. Tell me what you didn't like about that car. There's always one major buying signal that if you can solve that and figure out what that is, that's going to help you tremendously. But to do that, you have to have empathy. To do that, you have to listen. I used to say that all the time. My best salespeople were the best listeners and the best greeters, which means they came in a room or they greeted somebody and within seconds that person liked them and then they listened. And if you have a great first impression and you listen, at the end of the sale has a tendency of closing itself for you. The other thing is integrity, and probably be a little transparent. I probably wasn't always on that road to integrity, but I'm just telling you, say what you do what you say. People will only remember 10-20% of your words ever, but they'll remember 80% of your actions the rest of your life. So the integrity is a huge deal. And I'll tell you, when I first began at sales, I wasn't saying I was dishonest, but that wasn't one of my columns. That wasn't one of my priorities. Once I put that in my head, and I also said, well, wait, this person, this family is coming in to buy $1,000 sofa, or a $1,500 sofa. I started to realize, well, snap. If they're buying a $1,500 sofa, they had friends that could buy a $1,500 sofa. So I kind of have it in my mindset that if I was in a brick and mortar building and they took time to come into a brick and mortar building, they're done. I'm going to do my best to get those people to buy, especially if they referred to me from somebody else. So the next thing was take great care of them to the point that they would refer other people. And that's where the integrity and empathy and those things that I was telling you about, that's where they start to really play a huge role in sales. Because what happens is the more people you would get to refer you to you, your job became so much more enjoyable, so much more fun. But they say that the majority of the people that see an advertisement on TV or whatever, like 5 to 10% of it believe it. But people that refer you, 80% of those people go to that location to deal with you, and 90% of those people ended up buying. So what's better, to put yourself in the chute and to go out and get another cold call or go out and get another, up off the door, whatever it is, or to work all day long based off of referrals? That's where the huge money is. And also about referrals is, referrals normally, because you've already done a lot of the previous work that we needed to do, referrals buy about 50% more than original first-time customer does. So that's why it's so important. And another thing too that's a great thing for salespeople is to be curious and be curious about their whole lives, what's going on in their lives. Because if you're empathetic and you're curious, you're asking better questions, you're listening better to those questions. The other thing too that's extremely important in sales is clarity. Two things on clarity. When somebody asks you something, you don't have to blurt out and give them an answer. What's really good to do is repeat that question back to them. Okay, let me make sure that what the question is. You said this, and this. And a lot of times when you do that, they go, no, that's not what I said. So, but the clarity, right? So if the customer or the person or whoever it is asks you a question, stop, take a deep breath, and go, okay, let me tell you what I heard, and is that what I heard? And then I'll give you an answer. The other thing that you want to make sure you're doing in sales is that you're not using all that jargon, mumbo jumbo that your managers are using with you in a sales meeting. I'm not saying the sales managers are giving you wrong information or whatever, but you got to remember to keep this in a simple form that anybody from any walk of life would be able to understand what you're saying. I'll tell you a funny story. So one of the houses I bought, I had a guy come over and he was helping me with the security system. Super nice guy. And I went to the front door and greeted him. And when I greeted him, I go, "Hey, I'm Brad." I told him where I worked, and he goes, "Oh, you're 8-way hand tied." I had no idea what he was talking about, right? Oh, you're eight. And then anytime he asked me a question when he was at my house, he's like, "Hey, 8-way hand tied, can I ask you a question? 8-way hand tied." And I was like, finally at the end, I go, "Dude, why are you asking me? Why are you calling me 8-way hand tied?" He goes, "Oh, it's just a big joke in our family that when we go into the particular place you were working for, first person per people ask me is, are you looking for 8-way hand tied?" But they never explained to me what it was. They had no clue what 8-way hand tied was. So the salesperson was trying to qualify the customer with jargons that didn't make sense. Just so you know, 8-way hand tied is probably the nicest upholstery. It's hand knotted. Each coil in there is hand knotted 8 different times to attach to the frame, and it helps with the balance of it, longevity of the frame. So it is the best quality. So basically, what the salesperson was asking them was, what level of quality do you want on this chair? But they used 8-way hand tied, and it ended up becoming kind of a joke to them. So use simple, clarifying terms that they will understand. The big thing too, I'm telling you, in sales is resilience. And there's ways to do this in resilience and being resilient without coming off. You've got to ask somebody. It's going to come down to asking for the sale. And resilience is a huge part of that. And it can be real simple with, "Hey, I understand you said this particular thing, whatever it is, greatest thing you ever saw. Are you guys ready to do this today?" "No." "Okay, I completely understand that. Can I ask you a question? Would you be willing to put a deposit on it? Would you be willing to finance? Can I ask you a question? When would you be ready for it? Let me tell you how many of these we have in stock." You see, I'm saying none of that comes off. It comes off, and I used to tell people, look, I'm not trying to come off as a super salesy guy. I'm just trying to help you, because one thing that really helps with any type of customer that motivates them more than anything comes out of your mouth is failure or loss. So if you explain to them that there is a chance that they could lose this situation, or the prices could go up, prices are going crazy in the world, that prices could go up, that failure of loss has a tendency of tipping them over into a situation where they become a buyer. The win-win mindset is huge in sales. That I'm telling you, if you push yourself to the back of the selling situation and push whoever that buyer is, to the front of the situation, and really truthfully, it's spiritually and psychologically impossible for you not to be financially blessed if you're out helping other people. So that is a huge deal. The power of the repeat business, like I said, the biggest thing. And I'll tell you, I was not good at closing, and asking for the transaction. But one, that comes down to mental toughness in your internal dialogue. But there was something that flipped on me, and everybody has it. Everybody has assets. Everybody has things that other people don't have. And so what happened to me is it clicked on me that I was fun with people. I made people laugh. And I realized very early on is I could ask them so many times to buy that they would never get irritated with me. And so I would go through the whole selling process, the greeting, the qualifying, the presentation, all of those things, be super just my normal self. But there was something that clicked on me, was like, okay, now it's time to ask for money. Now it's time to try to help this person because they're going to miss out on this certain situation. And there was something about that. When that clicked with me, then that was when I even became a stronger closer, because I already had built in personal equity with that person, and I kind of had the right to ask them, hey, are you ready to buy this? Let's buy this. It's the best time for you to purchase this. But I'll finish with this. Keep in mind, no matter what you're selling, no matter what you're doing, you don't have an exclusivity on this deal. And I say this all the time. Last night, whatever field you're in, there were tons of people that went to sleep last night hoping and praying and wishing that today they're going to sell something. And so what ends up happening for me is sometimes you're going to face rejection, sometimes you're going to face adversity, but really I feel like that is put there to weed out and filter out the people that ain't serious about it. So don't be that person. Persevere through it, block through it, go through it, get to the end of the deal, because that person's not going to be helped, especially when you're trying to convince them. That person's not going to be helped, because when you leave there, they still have a need. Help them with their needs, guys. Hey, go have a great day and be real.